Hello my dear students. Today in this class we shall be learning about the different types of soils that are found in India. In specific, we will be discussing about alluvial soil. So here last class what we learned about the soil and its as natural resources, the problems that we are facing mostly because of erosion, and the measures that can be taken to conserve the soil. Here, we will see that soil as a natural resource is very important in terms of agricultural prospectus, and India being an agrarian economy where agriculture is the major economic activity being practiced in India, soil becomes very important. So, around the country, we find various types of soil. But if we divide soil into different regions like north and south, in the north, we mostly find soils that have been transported from one place to another. In fact, these soils are called transported soil because they are being brought by rivers and deposited elsewhere in the low-lying region. Now, since they are being transported from one place to another and they are not found in the place of their own origin, hence these soils are also known as ex-situ soil. The North Indian soil are also known as ex-situ soil, of which the best example is alluvial soil. While the soils of South India, which are mostly formed by weathering of rocks like that of igneous and metamorphic, so they do not get transported very far away. In fact, we can say that they are deposited in the place of their own origin. Hence, these soils are known as in situ soil. For example, black soil. So this is what we see in terms of regional wise, dividing India into north and south. The soils that we see as north of India and south of India is of different types. In situ in South India and ex situ in North India. Now, if we classify soils on the basis of their origin and their composition, in India, we see that there are four major soil groups: the alluvial soil, the black soil, red soil, and lateritic soil. Each of these soil has their own formation or own mode of origin. So today we will discuss about alluvial soil. So what is alluvial soil? Alluvial soil as a transported soil we already discussed are the soils that are actually brought by the rivers and are deposited in the low-lying region. So in the mountainous areas, the river cannot deposit. So there it carves out the rocks. It erodes the rocks, and those eroded materials, which are the finer material that we call alluvium, are deposited in the low-lying region, and that very deposits makes the alluvial soil. So this is the reason why North India has most of the alluvial soil, because North India, the mountainous areas where river flows, they carry a lot of sediments and brings them and deposits in the low-lying regions. Now this alluvial soil covers the maximum part in India. In fact, we can say the soil itself covers the larger part of the country with almost 45.6% of the area, total area of India is covered by alluvial soil, both in north as well as in south. These alluvial deposits varies in terms of the time factor. So hence, alluvial soil can be divided into two types as khadar and bhangar. Khadar is the new alluvial soil that frequently gets deposited because they are located in the low-lying regions of the flooded areas. Hence, what we see there is that these khadar are the newer alluvial soil of finer deposits which are repeatedly deposited in the low-lying regions, that is in the flooded areas. And the color is mostly pale brown. While on the other hand, we see Bhangar is an old alluvial soil with mostly coarse deposits. Coarse deposit means they are not mostly finer deposits. The sediments mostly comprise of small pebbles and the sediments. So here we see that is why the deposits are mostly coarse than as compared to the Khadar. They are much darker in color and are mostly found in the upper areas of the embankments where very often does not get inundated. The composition of alluvial soil, if we see that, this soil carries good amount of humus, that is the dead remains of plants and animals, but it lacks in nitrogen and phosphorus. This is its chemical composition where it lacks. While organic matters it has in plenty amount, while it lacks in chemicals like chemical compositions of like nitrogen and phosphorus, it's a deficient. Now, since the soil has humus in it, and are mostly these soils are mostly the finer deposits, hence when we talk about fertility of the soil, we can state that this is one of the best soil for agricultural practice. That is, its fertility is very high and hence agricultural practice is equally profitable. And it encourages varieties of crops to be grown in India. So if you name some crops like rice, that is paddy, you name jute or wheat, sugarcane, oil seeds, these are all grown in alluvial soil. Now if you see this soil, you'll find in both in North India as well as in South India. In North India, most of the Indo-Gangetic plains are covered by alluvial soil. While that of South India, we see this soil is mostly deposited in the coastal areas. Coastal areas, because the rivers that flows from peninsula, they erode the rocky materials that is mostly of the igneous origin in the Deccan regions and they deposit in the low-lying regions of the coastal areas. So you'll mostly find these soil, alluvial soil in South India towards the eastern part rather than the west. The alluvial soil found in northern plains, that is of the Gangetic plains, and that in the southern plains also varies in the texture and the color. The North Indian plains, the alluvial soils are much lighter in color than as compared to that of South India. The South Indian alluvial soil are mostly black and dark in color. This is because of the parent materials of which the soil is formed.